everyone, and welcome back to a new podcast from the Language Center. Today, I'm with Christian. Hello, Christian.
Hello,
How
boss. How
are
are you?
you?
I'm so good. Thank you for asking. That's
Well,
great.
I'm really happy to have you here today, and especially because you are someone really close to the Language Center and all of the activities and all of the things we do along the year. Well, I think UNAC community is a bit interested about getting to know you better. So could you talk to us a bit more
Okay,
about
yes.
yourself?
Okay, thank you, boss. My name is Cristian. I'm the assistant of the Language Center, and I'm so glad to be here for you. This year, I will be in the office helping you with all the process that you need to do. For example, if you want to study a level of English, if you want to do a quiz, an exam, if you want to have a reservation with any teachers, you can go to my office, and I'm gonna be so glad to help you about that.
Okay, thanks a lot. Well,
Okay.
you're also a lycée student. You're studying English, an English and Spanish educational program. So why did you decide to study this program?
Okay, I decided to start that because it was so important to me to teach. For me, there is
Mm-hmm.
not something more special than teach, because when you teach to another student, you're
Mm-hmm.
putting a little seed in the heart of that person, and it's something so special to know that your knowledge is not going to die with you. Your knowledge is going to be in other people. It's amazing. I love it. So that's the reason why I'm starting to be an English professor.
Okay. Well, how did you find the teacher that is inside you?
Okay, I found it because I got realized that I I'm so passionate. It's like I can tell you once and one more time, and I'm not gonna it's stress for that. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
gonna get tired. So, and it's so bad to me if you say, "Oh, teacher, I understood everything that you have told me." It was like, okay, that's right. That was my purpose here. So that's the principal reason.
Okay. Yeah, I'm also curious because in my case, for example, when I was in school, I never said I would be a teacher. But when I finished high school and I ended up studying the English and Spanish educational program, I wondered and I was like, well, when was the inside teacher waking up? And for example, when I was in ninth grade, 10th grade, I used to ask my Spanish teacher. Once I also remember I did it with my biology teacher. I used to ask them for a topic and they helped me with the planning, with the design of the materials, even the design of the PowerPoint presentations. And I used to go and present the class. And I used to do it just for fun. I never said I wanted to be a teacher, but then years later, I saw that I was a teacher also at church, for example.
Well, that's
So
great.
it's extraordinary the way you build up that identity. So it's also interesting to be a teacher because you are both a student and a teacher, right? It's like a dual role you have. So, how has been your experience at Lycée so far?
Okay, I just want to tell you one of the greatest experience
Mm-hmm.
that I had. It
Mm-hmm.
was when I was teaching to first grade students. You know that kids are they are a world, amazing world that it's so hard to explain that. But I
Mm-hmm.
use one strategy that was with my ukulele. I love music too. I know how to play piano, guitar. I love music, so I use it to teach.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember that with my ukulele, I started teaching to the kids, and every class they were like "Oh, teacher, what is the new song that we are gonna learn today?" And they were so happy, and it's while okay, if you listen to them while they are singing,
Mm-hmm.
it's wonderful. It's a beautiful experience, and it's I remember one day that a student told me, "Teacher, when I grow up, I wanna be like you," and it
Oh,
was so
wow.
special. I know that with that,
Mm-hmm.
I get realized that I am doing the things well. I am
Yeah.
in the right way.
Yeah, and as a teacher, kids or your students are always looking at you, like for good or bad. They take the best of you, right? And they appreciate your efforts. Like, I remember in my years, I was teaching in high school and university. I used to do things to take myself, also my students, but take myself out of the box. So I was like bringing different activities, different games, and they notice and they appreciate when you do that, right? Because they see you bring knowledge, but more than the content, you also make of the environment like a good and why not even fun space to learn.
Yes, that's you're right.
Yeah. Well, talking about your future as a teacher, what would be your dream?
I want to be the owner of my own institution. I
Mm-hmm.
want to actually it's a project that I have with my father that is to build to have our own college, our own high school
It
is
would be
the thing that I want.
extraordinary.
Yes.
Well, I fingers crossed for that dream because
Yes, of course,
it's
both.
really good. And there are many bilingual schools, but it's missing more bilingual schools. So, in simple words, it's a good project. Yeah, it's a
Yes.
really good one. Well, something that happens at the language center is that students sometimes they study English just because they want to get graduated.
No.
So, as a teacher, what is a recommendation you would give to them?
Okay, there is something really curious because I got realized that English is so important because look, I have learned it. I am just 19 years old,
Mm-hmm.
but as an English speaker, I had the opportunity to work in high schools, and it's amazing. So that is the reality. Learning English helps you in all your life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just for your academic future or your laboral future, it's just like you're grown up as a person
Yeah.
because you start working all the strategies that you have to learn, you start working your own brain. So it's amazing. It's for me, English is the most wonderful thing that I have ever learned in my life. So I really recommend to study English, not just to pass a quiz or not just to get graduated.
Mm-hmm.
It's studied for life, for all your life. It's a
Yeah.
good decision.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. Well, I also know you have learned, maybe it's not the only source, but you have learned also through textbooks. So, what recommendations can you give about the proper way to use textbooks and platforms? Usually, the textbooks also bring a platform to take the best of them and be able to learn English.
Okay, about test. The most important things for a test for me,
A textbook, I
yeah,
mean.
a textbook, yeah, it's the vocabulary. Because you know that probably while we are speaking,
Mm-hmm.
we don't use all the vocabulary that we know. But when we learn how to write, how
Mm-hmm.
to read, it's something really curious because there are a lot of words that you don't know,
Yeah.
and it's because probably you haven't seen them before. So if you study a textbook, in the textbook there is a lot of vocabulary that is the biggest difference between, for example, a B1 until a B2 or a B2 until a C1. So yeah, learn vocabulary. Use the textbook to learn vocabulary and to learn how to write all the words correctly, because it's not just talking English, speaking English. You need to know how to use all the language with all the context that the language has.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I also know that when you say vocabulary, you also mean idioms, sayings, right? Like what
Yes.
comes with each level, right? If it's an A1 level or if it's a C1 level. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, what about those students who don't like learning through textbooks?
Okay, we need to get realized that everybody here uh, are different.
Mm-hmm.
You are not the same like me. So probably your strategy to learn is 100% different than my
Yeah.
strategy. So there are other ways that you can
Mm-hmm.
use to learn vocabulary. For example, watching movies is a good exercise, because you are reading or you are listening what the actors are saying. And you say, oh, that word I don't know it. I will search it. Oh, for example, I don't know, regret. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
that word, but I know that regret is what is the meaning of that word. So
Mm-hmm.
I know that in the future I will use it, and I have heard it and I learned that, because it's a word that I will use probably every day. So we're watching movies, listening to music, or trying to have conversations with. Okay, now there are a lot of platforms that you can use to
Mm-hmm.
talk with native people, and it's amazing because you can talk with them and learn vocabulary. You can just say like, oh, I want to learn English and I want to know if you can help me with that process. So there are a lot of tools that you can use to learn vocabulary, not just textbooks.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Well, talking about English teachers or in general languages teachers,
Mhm.
what do you think are the most important characteristics of a good teacher?
Wow. There are a lot, but
The most important
the
ones.
most important. Okay, probably. Let me think it.
It's okay, you can say several too.
Okay, for me, the patience
Mm-hmm.
is one of the most important,
Mm-hmm.
and the knowledge, because I know, and it's something really curious that there are teachers. I know teachers that they teach, but the knowledge that they have is not enough to teach. I have heard
Mm-hmm.
one statement that it was so special for me, that a student cannot have more than the 50% of my knowledge. I need to be
What do you
able,
mean?
for example, if I want to teach until a student that has a A1, A2,
Uh-huh.
I need to be at least a B2 or C1.
Oh, I get your point, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So a student cannot have more knowledge than me in that subject. Because, for example, if a student has some
You should
questions,
be an example and you should be able to lead them
yeah,
to what they are supposed to get.
yes, but yes, you're right, because what happens if the student has a question that you don't know,
Yeah.
that you're not sure? So you can say, "Oh, I don't remember that." So what is going to say the student? Oh,
Mm-hmm.
my teacher doesn't know that. So
Yeah, that is also why it is said that a teacher is a student his whole life, right? Because many knowledge is coming up, many things are uh, just like coming new, and the teacher it has that call, right? If it's a good one. Hmm.
Yes. So I suppose that the knowledge and the patience, if you have those, you can say, okay, I will teach you and I'm going to use that strategy that I know that it's the best for you. So let's start. And that is the best way that a professor can work.
Okay. Well, we have come to the end of this podcast, so I want to thank you all for staying until the end, and thank you so much, Chris.
Thank you so much, boss, for bringing me here. I'm really happy to be here. And yes, if you want to come to my office, if you need something,
Hmm.
I want to tell you that you count with us, with all the English Center team.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you, boss.